How would you describe an entrepreneur in 3 words?
There's a lot of different ways you could go with it, because there are elements of like tenacity, perseverance, whatever the word that means, like being comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Hi, this is Nova Lorraine with Raine Magazine. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief, and as you know, here at Raine, we are about inspiring creative entrepreneurs worldwide. I am so excited to have Adam here with us today. He's not only an actor, a voiceover star, an improviser, but he's also an entrepreneur. Adam McArthur stars as Marco Diaz on the animated comedy series Star versus the Forces of Evil. He also is the official voice of all Disney on-air promos, and he's also had a recurring role for both Emmy Award-winning series Cartoon Network's Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and Netflix Puss in the Boots. And guys, I haven't even gotten started. Like, this is like the tip of the iceberg of what Adam's doing. He's going to share with us in a little more detail some of the other projects as well as his entrepreneurial venture that he's involved with. Hi, Adam. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. So you just came back from Japan,
I did.
right?
I was there for about 2.5 weeks. It was supposed to be for work, but when you're in a place like that, you can't really call it work. So I was pretty much just out there having a good time.
Was this your first time to Japan?
Time. Yeah, it was my first time there.
Okay. What would you say was the most memorable experience?
Oh, gosh. Well, I got to go to this sort of digital museum put on by a company called Team Lab. The exhibition is called Borderless, and it's essentially this like massive museum with all digital art, and it's projected in a lot of rooms in like 360. It's constantly moving. So if you go into a room and you look at an exhibit and you leave and come back 10 minutes later, it could be completely different. Yeah, the digital art's like moving around you. It was really incredible. But actually, besides that, the food. The food, any and all food that I ate there was my most memorable experience. The food there is just on another level.
Was it just the sushi or was it everything?
No, it was everything. I think I only had sushi. I think I had sushi twice in 2.5 weeks, but everything, like the yakiniku, which is like Japanese barbecue, where they grill on a little charcoal grill kind of right in front of you, and everything's on a stick. That was incredible. The ramen is incredible. It was, yeah. I mean, I'm a big Asian food in general, but Japanese food specifically fan. So I eat it often, but having it there was, yeah, it was on another level.
Well, now I have to go to Japan because I am an unofficial foodie.
Oh, yes, you need to. It's incredible.
So something was amazing, and then I'm like, okay, that's definitely on my bucket list. Like, I absolutely love food. So that's really exciting to hear. And it wasn't just the sushi, because I love sushi, but it wasn't just the sushi. So that's definitely worth the trip.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, totally worth it.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to this point of not just being an actor, but also a voiceover star and creative entrepreneur. So tell us a little bit about Adam and what brought you to this point.
Oh, well, I grew up in Northern California. My mom graduated high school and got a job for a utility company that she worked for 35 years before she retired. So one of those career lifers. My dad was a police officer and was injured on the job, and was fortunate enough that in the last few years of his police career had started his own business, doing home and business alarm installation. So I grew up in this really kind of like entrepreneurial household. It was a part of my life, seeing my dad grow up like that. I was not, I wouldn't say a wild child, although if you ask my parents, they might tell you that. But more, I would maybe just energetic is the right description.
Energetic, quote unquote. Okay, Adam.
Yeah. But there was 2 things that I've always wanted to do from an early age that I remember. One of them was Kung Fu, and one of them was acting. So martial arts and acting. I begged my parents forever. It wasn't until I was 11 and got beat up in 6th grade that they were like, okay, let's put you in some martial arts. So I got put into a kung fu school up in Northern California called Yi's Martial Arts. And the owner of that actually taught the police department. So my dad knew who he was. He had trained with them and all this cool stuff. So that was that. I kept begging to be put in an acting class. That took a little bit more time. And then finally, when I was 16, for my 16th birthday, my parents got me, they got me an acting class in San Francisco at a place called Kids on Camera. And it was owned by a lady named Judy Berlin, who was voice on Sesame Street and had worked, on a bunch of other stuff up in the Bay Area. And I got my first audition through her a couple of months after being in class. And those turned into about 30 radio commercials for Macy's. Yeah, over the course of maybe like a year. And that's how I got into the union. I booked a little independent movie after that. And then, I knew I wanted to be in LA eventually. So gosh, 2 years after that is when I graduated, or a year after that is when I graduated from high school. I went to junior college after high school for a couple of years. And then I transferred down to Pepperdine in Southern California because I knew I wanted to finish college, but I also knew I wanted to be in LA. So I wanted to be close. And as soon as I moved down here, I was finishing up school, but I got set up with an agent right away. And started auditioning and working, fortunately, about a month after I got set up down here. So I did that for a while, and then that led us to the 2008 economy crash where kind of everything went bad. Advertisers weren't spending money on commercials, which is what I was booking a lot of when I was here, when I first moved down here. And it got to a point where I was paddleboarding in Marina Del Rey. I had borrowed a paddleboard because I couldn't afford one to even rent one. And I was paddling around all these big yachts, and I was looking at them and I was just thinking man, who owns these? And then I'm a thinker. I like to take my time and just, think all the time. So I'm thinking who owns these yachts? And then I'm like, you know what? Why can't I own a yacht? And then I'm thinking, okay, is what I've always strive to achieve as far as success goes based on what I grew up seeing with my parents, which was great. We could go out to dinner sometimes. We could go to the movies sometimes. We weren't rich by any means, and there were months where we had to we can't go to the movies because, we got to save money times, but I had a roof over my head. I had toys. I had a good childhood, but I was have I been limited by what I've seen as success? And, as actors, we get told things or I get asked things oh, you're an actor. Oh, does that mean you wait tables? Because I think people know that it's a struggle as an actor to make a living. But, these statements kind of get ingrained in you. Another one is the idea of the starving artist. I was thinking about this idea as I'm paddleboarding around these yachts. I'm like, why do I have to be a starving artist? Why can't I be an artist and be full? Why can't I do the things that I want to do and enjoy life, but also, make money? And so, I was reflecting about my dad and his journey and kind of what his life has been like as an entrepreneur. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like I just need to start my own business. It gave me a lot of anxiety in college and a lot of anxiety post-college when I would try to, or if I would to get an audition, but I was scheduled to work somewhere and I had to call my boss and tell him, hey, I can't come in. I have an audition. Because of course I understand I'm putting them in a hard place, but ultimately my goal in life was to have a career in entertainment, not to be, waiting tables or teaching music to kids or whatever, So I'm like, I've got to be my own boss. And this was in 2011. So I graduated college in 2005. In 2011, I sort of had this epiphany, and I'm like, I just got to do it myself. I can't rely on anybody else to be nice if I need to go on an audition or give me time off when I need to. I've just got to do it myself. So a good buddy of mine, he and his wife are wedding photographers, and they were new to the business around 2011, and they had a mentor who recommended that they start a photo booth rental company. And they live in Central California. They kind of were like, we don't know if it's for us. We just want to do, wedding photography. And I was like, well, why don't I help you guys? So we started a photo booth rental company up in Central California, and I essentially ran it for them from LA for about a year. I was driving 2 hours on the weekends to get up there and run events and whatnot. And then during the week when I was auditioning for, acting jobs, I was responding to emails and dealing with clients and all that good stuff. And it just got to be a lot. And I built it up for them and got it to a place where they were able to hire, some staff and essentially have it run itself. And it was about that time, beginning of 2012, that I decided to start my own company down here in Los Angeles. So 2012 was the birth of what was then called My Photo Booth LA, which has since been rebranded to the Booth and Bus Company. We do about 250 events a year. And yeah, we have traditional photo booths, but we also, I wanted something different and cool that matched the aesthetic that I like. And that just wasn't what everyone else was doing. I wanted to do something different that kind of spoke for itself, that when people saw it, they would get why, I wanted to charge what I wanted to charge and why they wanted to have that at their wedding. So I bought a 1970 Volkswagen bus and built a photo booth inside of it. And now at this point, we have 4 different booths. We do all different kinds of photo activations, but we also own 4 vintage Volkswagen buses. And 250 events a year. So we're busy. We're nice and busy.
That's amazing. That's pretty incredible. And so now you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You're still balancing the entertainment with that. How would you describe an entrepreneur in 3 words?
There's a lot of different ways you could go with it, because there are elements of like tenacity, perseverance, whatever the word that means, like being comfortable in the uncomfortable. Like I'm sure there's a word that means that, would be the 3 words that I could choose. Or, we could talk about like sort of the creative side, like where you need like passion, you need to have a deep sense of like care for what you're doing. And, there's different ways you could describe an entrepreneur. I kind of think, at least initially, most entrepreneurs kind of have to have 3 words is hard because you kind of have to have some of all of the words. You need to have a little bit of it all. And then I think as you go, what's happened with me is because I am so busy with the entertainment side of my career, it's really forced me to be super efficient. So efficiency is another word that I would describe, at least for myself, in my entrepreneur journey. It has been a huge necessity, because if I'm out auditioning or working during the week, I still have, a load of clients who need responses to emails and need answers to questions and events prepped for the weekend and all that good stuff. So I've really focused on being super efficient, and then also delegating and being willing to let go of my baby enough that I can have help. And I have a lot of great help. I have some really great staff who, honestly, make it possible for me to be able to do things like go to Japan for 2.5 weeks when we have events, and go to entertainment related events, premieres and other things on the weekends when we have events, so that I'm able to kind of, really put maximum effort into both areas of my life, which is I'm really fortunate.
Yeah, I love the use of the word efficiency and delegation. That's something I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with in the beginning, is delegating. And, it's usually their baby they're creating. They know they have this vision, most of the time they're perfectionists in terms of executing that vision. And so it's really hard to let go and share those tasks with others. And so I love how you brought that up. And then, of course, being efficient, especially if you're juggling multiple projects or enterprises, is key as well.
Yeah.
Doing all of that, how would you say, well, first let me ask you, have you ever faced burnout? And if you have, how did you overcome it?
That's so funny. I feel like the answer to that is yes. I have definitely experienced burnout. In a way, my situation I feel is slightly unique than maybe some more unique than someone who's just running their own business or just having a career in entertainment. Because if I start to get burned out in entertainment, I'm like, well, you know what? I've still got the business. And if I start to get burned out on the business, I'm like, you know what? Let me take a step back. I'm still an actor. So I have a little bit of balance, to fight against burnout already kind of built in. But with that said, I mean, there are weeks where, I mean, we have 10 events in a weekend, and I'm also slammed. I have sessions every day, voiceover sessions every day, auditions on top of that, family on top of that. So, burnout is a real thing. And I have always turned to martial arts, like exercising and just like moving has really helped. And I try and when I'm doing those things, I really shut off my brain. I'm not thinking about anything else besides where I'm at. And usually, a class later and I'm already feeling better. And if it's, on a larger scale, then I do things like, go to Japan for 2.5 weeks.
I could do Japan, every other month,
Yeah, exactly. Actually, speaking of efficiency, that was one of the things I really, really appreciated about Japan is the efficiency there. And everything is incredibly clean. There was like this underlying level of respect with like all the people there for the cleanliness of the space that they are occupying. Yeah, it was just the train system. It's all incredibly efficient. So it's nice to go and see attributes of things that I value with my own business and with acting and all of that, but see it implemented in different ways or see how, it is for like a different culture and all that kind of stuff. It's really that alone is, a really great way to fight fight burnout and getting tired of things. Is just, having an appreciation for the little things.
Yeah, no, that would be a really interesting experience to experience a system that has those attributes built in and seeing how you can be inspired to bring some of that into your own business or your life. So
Totally.
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So because you are an actor and an entrepreneur and a lot of people aren't doing both,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure sometimes the journey, which in itself, in and of itself, being an entrepreneur, the journey is lonely. What are some of the hacks that you've used to battle loneliness along this experience as an entrepreneur?
Well, I mean, one of the things is I really do love what I do in all aspects of it. And I in those moments where I feel that like, I'm the only one I can rely on kind of thing. I remind myself that I do have really great staff. And a significant portion of what I do wouldn't be possible without them. So I am not alone. I'm one of those people who also, whenever I'm facing stress or a difficult time or loneliness, I stop and I say, okay, has anyone else done what I'm doing? Like, has anyone else done this before? And the majority of the time, the answer is yes, of course. There are a million other entrepreneurs. I love shows like, as I'm sure most entrepreneurs do like The Profit or Shark Tank. And I watch these shows and I look at these incredibly successful people and I'm like, they've got to be way busier than I am. So I need to just calm down. Whenever it seems overwhelming, I'm like, look, someone else has done this before. This is not the be all end all. It also doesn't define me as a person. I don't put all my self-worth into my work. I really do just try and stay optimistic and positive. And just try not to let any of that stuff get me down. And I also know that, in those waves of loneliness or, oh, this is so tough, that it's fleeting, it's momentary. So it's going to pass. It's not something that's going to stay there. So a lot of times I'm like, all right, well, I just have to be sad today, or I just have to be bummed out today, and that's it. So
It comes with the territory, right?
it
The roller
does.
coaster ride.
Yeah, of course. And, there are so many benefits to owning my own business. That's the other thing is like, I get to work with some amazing people that I wouldn't get to work with just as an actor. Amazing creatives, people who are a lot, less creative, but, have just a different perspective of work, through, our corporate clients. And then of course, like weddings, no one is ever sad to see me or any of my staff at an event because they're just happy to be there and take pictures. So it's also, I don't know, there's just so many positive things that for me, on those bad days, I'm like, you know what, it is what it is today. I can be sad or I can be upset or mad or whatever. But, for the most part, I'm just very grateful to have what I have.
Right. I love it. I love that. Okay. Let's switch gears a little bit. If
Okay.
you had to relate what you do to sports, how would you describe?
So, well, I mean, as a martial artist, so there's a Chinese saying, and it translates to taste the bitter. And so my teacher used to always say that. So, growing up, we're doing all these like rigorous things. My kung fu teacher was a really traditional kung fu teacher who would we were like doing push-ups and getting whacked with sticks while we are doing push-ups and like like just really rigorous training. Like, oh,
More. Let's go.
yeah. Like, go punch those bricks. Okay. We just did it. And it's because you have to taste the bitter. You have to go through the hard in order to get to the good. So, I mean, martial arts is what I always relate things back to anyway, just because I've been doing it for, I think, like 26 years or something ridiculous. In sports, yes, there is like the goal of like winning the game. And it's this whole kind of, I guess, cheesy thing of like, practice makes perfect and all that stuff. But really, for me with martial arts, it was always about self-improvement and how can I do better and what can I do better and how, anything that I wanted to be really good at, it was up to me to get. Yes, my teachers could guide me. Yes, they could show me the moves, but ultimately I had to do them. I had to do them over and over. And when it was hard, I had to keep doing them. And so that alone relates significantly to not only on entrepreneurship, but to acting as well. I mean, am I okay if I haven't booked something for a year, or if it takes, 5 years to book the next job? Am I going to quit because it's hard, or am I going to just taste the bitter, take the bad with the good, and keep going? So I think it's very applicable to sport. Yeah.
Yeah. And it also, I think it prepares people for the marathon. It's not this quick
Yeah.
night.
Yes, totally. I'm laughing because it is absolutely a marathon. And I'm also like, I constantly joke with my friends who are actors and stuff like that. And I say outlandish things, but one of my good buddies tells me all the time, he's like, man, the stuff you say really sticks with me. I'm like, well, that's because it's slightly ridiculous, but also like there's truth to it. Like, like my buddy, for example, he's an actor and he goes up against somebody in voiceover who's significantly older than him. And for whatever reason, it's always them two.
Oh, wow.
And I said to my buddy, I'm like, dude, it's going to be fine. He's going to die first. Which is so, I know it's outlandish. It's totally ridiculous. And I, of course I'm joking, but but it is a marathon is basically the point. And like, you have to just keep going. Like we're not going to quit. We're here to do what we're going to do. So let's just, you're right. It's a marathon.
Oh, I love it. Outlandish. Tell us what major projects you are most excited about that's on the horizon.
Well, Star versus the Forces of Evil season 4, we're currently airing. We've got about a month left, about 5 weeks left of episodes. And it's the culmination of the series. Like the series is ending. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Over the last, 3 seasons, we've built up a fandom for this show that's like put us in the top 5 Google year-end searches and things like that. Just under and this is a Disney. It's now we're airing on Disney Channel, but we originally started airing on Disney XD. This is a Disney XD cartoon, which already Disney XD as a channel doesn't have a huge ton of subscribers just because it's, one of those extra add-ons. But, in the Google year-end search, Star versus the Forces of Evil is just below South Park, Saturday Night Live, and Rick and Morty, which are all, mainstream shows. So we've built up this amazing fandom, and the show has sort of churned from this like funny, goofy kind of one-off episodes to this show. It's still really funny and fun, but that's got a lot of heart, and it's got a through line plot, which we're seeing more and more in animated shows these days. But what the creators and the writers and all of everyone, working in production has managed to do with this show is really, really incredible. I'm just so excited. The way that the show ends is amazing. So yeah, I'm excited for these fans to sort of get the end of this story that we've been creating for the last, I've been working on it since 2013. So for the last almost 6 years.
Love it. And what would you say if you had to pick one thing off your wish list that you are really excited about coming true? What would that be?
In the show, my character and the main character are like best friends, but really, there's like, they've had moments of like, well, I have a crush on you. Okay, well, I have a boyfriend. And then, well, I have a crush on you. Oh, shoot, I have a girlfriend. And like, they never really get together, but they're the best of friends. And a lot of people want them to be together. A lot of people don't want them to be together. But I am like, I just think it would be so cute. So I'm really hoping, like I've got all my fingers crossed, that they end up together. But, I guess, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. All
right. Really quickly, what would you describe as your superpower?
My superpower. Okay, question. Is this like real life superpower, or is this like what I would want my superpower to be?
That's up to you to interpret.
Oh, gosh. What's my superpower? I would say, I would say making things fun always.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Okay. Probably helps you live longer too, if you're laughing all the time.
Hopefully. We'll see.
So for our listeners, what words of wisdom would you share with them? Someone else that is considering following your footsteps, or someone hesitating and making that pivot in their life, and they've always wanted to pursue creativity or entrepreneurship. What words do you think you can leave with them to encourage them?
Yeah, I would just say you can have it all. We're fortunate enough to live in a time where lots of stuff is made to help our lives be more efficient. And, when you can hire a virtual assistant to help you respond to emails while you're auditioning, like this is all things that are possible. So I would say if you're really wanting to pursue something in the, something creatively, that you should absolutely do it. You should set yourself up to be able to do it. And, you can make it part of your business model to allow time for yourself to pursue your things creatively. And you can have your cake and eat it too. You can really do both. Great
advice. So Adam, it was such a pleasure hanging out with you today and hearing all the interesting and fun words of wisdom that you were sharing with us, as well as your journey along the way. I want to thank you again. How can listeners find you if they wanted to either book your company or if they wanted to follow you through some of your creative projects?
Cool. So for me personally, and as an actor, my Instagram is @ninjamac. So NINJAMAC. My Twitter handle is @_Adam M. You can also go to adam-macarthur.com. Or then for the company, the Booth and Bus Company, you can find us at theboothandbusco.com, all spelled out. You can also find us on Instagram @theboothandbusco. Book us for your events.
All right. Yeah. You want fun or outlandish?
Yes. Exactly.
Look for Adam McArthur. We are so glad that we got a chance to catch up with you. I know you're super busy and wish you all the best. Of course, we're going to continue to follow you along your journey as a creative entrepreneur. And thank you for helping inspire our listeners today. And for those of you that are just tuning in, you are listening to Raine Magazine, and we have the pleasure of speaking with Adam McArthur, actor, voiceover, improviser, and entrepreneur. We ask you to tune in to our next show as we continue to uncover the next big names in fashion, culture, and technology to inspire millions worldwide. Thanks again, Adam, and until next time.